Sorry it's been a week or two since the last podcast, guys, but I've found a new platform I really like. I hope you guys come over there. I'm still going to keep putting out podcasts, but I'm spending a lot of time lately on Twitch. Some of you probably know what Twitch is. Some of you might not know what Twitch is, so I'll tell you real quick. Twitch is a app / website / all kinds of things where you can watch people do a lot of different shit. Used to be just watching people play video games, but now you can watch people do all kinds of things, including podcasting, and including just hosting kind of show-like motherfucking things. It's a new world. It's a new stuff. I'm going to be trying to hook it all up with YouTube as well, but basically, we're going to video, motherfuckers. If you want to see my pretty face and talk to me, check me out on Twitch. Just go to twitch.tv/Will Noonan and follow me. Or you can download the Twitch app on your phone. Follow me there. It's a great time. You can chat right to my face, and I'll answer you, and people can watch. It's a really cool app. I think it's going the way, I think it's the future. It's free, and if you have Amazon Prime, you get a bunch of free shit with it. So check it out, twitch.tv/Will Noonan. Follow me on there. Be talking about it in the episode, but man, Twitch is cool, and I'd love it if you came join me. If you came and joined me, if you come and join me, if you just orgasm and join a motherfucker on Twitch. So anyway, twitch.tv/Will Noonan. Hope to see you there. Here is the show. Let's go. This is turning into one of the weirdest shows I've ever done. It really is.
Catch me if you can, God damn it. Catch me if you can. You hear me?
Will Noonan's so funny and I'm after him, so I guess I'm after Noonan.
You're listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan. That's me, coming at you right now from Route 1 in Massachusetts. I'm on my way to a show up in New Hampshire. Sorry, my car is making some weird noises back there. But yeah, I'm on my way to a show in New Hampshire, doing the Stone Church tonight with Josh Day and Justin McKinney and Jim Whitman, a bunch of good comics. And yeah, so I'm on my way there, on my way to a show. I know a lot of the times I call you guys when I'm done with a show, but today we're doing a little different kind of take. I'm on my way to a show right now, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't been to Stone Church in a long time, and I'm looking forward to going back. So anyway, how are you guys doing? Where have I been is the question. It's been a while since I've taken a week off from doing a podcast, but life caught up with me, I guess. I got a little bit busy and decided that this past couple of weeks just wasn't a good time. I didn't get around to recording anything. I was doing a bunch of shit. Get into that later. And you know what? I could have. Well, fuck it. I'll just get into the story. Where have I been? I've been doing lots of things, guys. At the beginning of the podcast, you probably heard, I've started to Twitch stream on Twitch, which is really fucking cool. Really love Twitch, and want to take this podcast and everything that we're doing into more video and more video-based stuff and more live stuff. So set up the Twitch account. It's all set up. It's looking good, and I'm not expecting everyone who listens to this podcast to join over and come over to Twitch, so I'm going to keep doing the podcast, of course, but it's definitely going to be taking up a lot of my time. So if you like me and you like the sound of my voice and you like all this shit, come over to Twitch sometimes. Usually at night I will be on there, sometimes playing video games, most of the time just chatting with you guys and shooting the breeze. And I like Twitch a little bit better than YouTube, just because of all the different the different ways people can kind of subscribe and talk and donate, and it's just very streamlined, and it's a great website. So that's that. I've been streaming a lot this week. None of them are really that great, I will say that. I'm still figuring it out. It's just like when I started this podcast. There's a learning curve. There's some bumps in the road. I got to kind of get into my groove of doing it, but I really enjoy it, and just as a fucking millennial, barely a millennial, I just think it's really cool, and I think it's going to be the future of entertainment will be streaming. So I'm excited to get into that, and that's been my focus really the past couple weeks. It's been getting these streams set up and making it look all nice and cool for you guys. So check me out. Twitch.tv/Will Noonan is the website where you can link up to all my shit. And it's just, my Twitch username is just Will Noonan. If you're already on Twitch, just add a dude, you know? But where have I been? What have I been doing? Not that much. Just did a couple shows. One of the things I did while I was on this unexpected sabbatical was I went on the Chaz and AJ radio show down on PLR in Connecticut, which a show I've been doing for years, a group of people I fucking love. And I think this was pretty much my first bad appearance, or B- appearance. It wasn't bad, like nothing like really awkward or weird or troublesome happened, but you can just feel when you're killing it or when things are going like really great and when things are just kind of like meh. And this was definitely a little meh. I could tell. Me and Chaz could tell. Chaz is like the main host, and I said it to him during a couple of the first breaks. I was like, something feels a little off today. And he was like, yeah, no. I don't think he was blaming me too much, but I'm sure when I left the studio, they were all like, what was up with Will today? Just wasn't as funny as normal. And I don't know, man. I have a couple excuses lined up. I think the first one is I've just been getting up early in mass and then driving 2 hours. Past few times I've done the show, I get up super early. I drive like 2 hours to Connecticut. Like, I leave the house at like 4:30 a.m. And I get to Connecticut and have a cup of coffee and do the radio show with Chaz, AJ, Pam, and Phil and all the people there. And it's first couple times I did the show, I was doing a comedy club in New Haven, but that doesn't exist anymore, so don't do that. I used to just come in when I was doing shows and stay in a hotel and then come by, but now I just do the show for fun a lot of the time, or to promote just my own stuff like the podcast or the album. So I'm like, I don't want to spend a whole night in Connecticut by myself for no reason. I mean, not that it's no reason, but either way, I'm probably not going to get a great night's sleep. So I'm just like, why not just sleep in your own bed, get up early, and drive down there? And most of the time it worked, but I think this time I fucked myself a little bit. I just didn't get a good night's sleep. I couldn't fall asleep. When I woke up, when my alarm woke me up at 4:30 to do the radio show, and it felt like I'd been asleep for like 14 seconds. That whole like, close your eyes and for a moment, and then you wake up and you're like, what? Did I sleep? Did I get any sleep at all? I don't even fucking know, But I felt okay, so I get in the car, driving down to do the radio show. I'm not feeling bad or good. I'm just doing it, So I get down there, and it was time to go on the air. And like I said, nothing really happened. I didn't say anything fucked up. I just felt like I wasn't really firing on all cylinders, and neither were they really. There was something kind of in the air, like none of us were really hitting our buckets, It was like watching people shoot up mid-range jumpers and they're just going halfway in and clanging out. Kind of had that vibe to it. I think by the end of the 3-hour radio show, we were clicking and clanging a little bit more, but yeah, just felt kind of weird. It was a long drive back, so we finished, and there was a lot of like, hey, good time. It's very easy to tell as a comedian. It's very easy to tell when you like crush it. When you have like a great set or a great appearance on something, there's no fucking question. When you're leaving, people are still laughing, they're smiling, they're high-fiving you. It's just obvious, It's like a sport. Did you win or did you lose? And sometimes, when you really bomb, it's the opposite. It's like people don't want to make eye contact with you. They don't want to fucking even like catch whatever the fuck it is you have that makes you suck so bad, and you just walk out of the place like a ghost, And this radio appearance was neither of those. It was somewhere in the middle where people were like saying like, hey, good job today and great to have you and thanks for coming by. But you could just sort of feel a little bit of a fucking look in their eye that's like, but you didn't really do as great as you normally do. And, you know, what can I say? I also have another excuse, which is that radio is fucking ficky? I meant fickle. And depending on what the news is of that day, whatever the general news, like, in the world is happening, it affects the mood of everything. And this time, the Manchester bombing had happened like a couple days before, and that was still in the air, and people were calling in with kind of sad sack shit. And then the last, third of the show, we had these guys in who were great guys, but they were raising money for a cancer charity, and you can't really fuck around joking with that. So there was a little bit of there were some obstacles, there were some handicaps that I had to sort of overcome. But we still had a good time, and I'm still definitely going to go back if they'll have me. I think they will. But, yeah, it was interesting. I have a pretty high batting average on radio show appearances, and I feel like I normally do pretty well, and I bring my A game. But I feel like this time I was a little bit fucking tired. I know I was tired. I didn't feel tired in the studio or anything or feel sleepy, but when I was driving home, I guess some adrenaline had worn off or something, but when I was driving home 2 hours, so I get done with the radio show at like 10 a.m., and I'm driving 2 hours back to Boston, and I'm like, I don't know, I fucking started to almost fall asleep at the wheel, half hour, 45 minutes into the drive back, and that's a really scary feeling. Both times, this only happened to me a couple of times, and both times, it's happened to me during the daytime when I've stayed up like all night or not gotten a lot of sleep. And that's like the weirdest time to be having like sleepy eyes at the wheel, because you're like, it's so bright out and there's people all around me, like, how is this happening? So I stopped at a rest stop and just kind of threw some cold water on my face and drank some water and just like tried to like wake myself up a little bit. I'd already had a shitload of coffee when I was on the radio show, so I was like, don't overdo it with the coffee, like just make it home. And just taking that little break. It was still touch and go for like another I don't know, 20 minutes or so, but then I like kind of powered through it, woke up, and then I didn't go to sleep at all for the rest of the day until that night. And that's kind of like almost like a drunk high feeling you get like around 5-6 in the afternoon when you've been up for almost 24 hours. It's like not a bad feeling. If you can ride that wave just right, you can have a good time. So I enjoyed all that. Speaking of people having problems behind the wheel, Tiger Woods this week had a DUI. Two great headlines from the Washington Post, the New York Post. Two great headlines. The first one was DUI of the Tiger, which was great. Home run, New York Post. And then the news came out overnight that he actually wasn't even really drunk. He was on pills. And so they changed it the next day to Stony the Tiger. And made me laugh how many people online were kind of saying like, oh, well, he wasn't drunk. Well, it's not so bad then. He probably takes those pills for his back because he plays golf and all this shit. And I was just like, are you really giving this guy a pass? Like, it's still the same thing. I don't take Xanax and drive, I feel like that's kind of risky. Actually, that's not true. I've definitely done it in the past, but I'm having such a huge panic attack if I take a Xanax that I don't think it's going to put me to sleep. Or even make me like intoxicated. I've never felt like a buzz taking Xanax. I just feel normal whenever I take it, which is extremely rarely. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. At first, my initial reaction was, I was like, if Tiger Woods got pulled over after he'd had a few beers and he wasn't like shit-faced, give him a pass. He's a celebrity. He's donated a lot of money to charity, and far from a perfect individual. He cheated on his wife and all that shit. But I think like a DUI needs to have a little bit more. We need to like return the judgment call of the policeman back into DUIs. My uncles were all cops. My dad was a cop. They're all retired now, but they all have like a million stories of finding a guy shit-faced in his car, or finding a guy like swerving down the road, or find a guy asleep at a stoplight, you know. And if the guy isn't a piece of shit and the guy's not a fucking maniac, often they would just take their car keys. They'd say, hey, listen, you know, I'm going to take your car. I'm going to park it right over there. You know, I'm going to take your keys to the station, find your way home, come get your keys tomorrow, and come pick up your fucking car. Which is really, like, I guess a lot more work for the cop than just, like, you know, arresting somebody and passing them off to whoever they pass people off to. But it just seems like there's not an exact science, because I know a lot of people who could drink enough to be over the legal limit but not too fucked up to drive, and I know a lot of people who like smoke weed, and at different levels there are different levels of high. So I feel like it's a tough nut to crack to figure out who's driving truly impaired and who's not. The field sobriety test I feel like is unfair, because if you're really nervous or, you know, freaking out about being about to be arrested or in fear of it, you can fuck that test up, you know, 6 ways to Sunday. And fucking the breathalyzer, like I just said, doesn't really factor in weight and tolerance level and all that stuff. I'm sure there's still cops out there who do make a judgment call and say, this person seems okay, let's let him go. But I do think, unfortunately, they don't even have that power as much anymore because of the dash cams and the fact that as soon as you type in a license plate, it's now on record that you pulled someone over. It's like you can't fuck around anymore, even using common sense. You know, the whole fucking thing is just computerized and checks and balances, and I don't think it's necessarily for the better, man, to be honest. You know, I've bitched about it on this podcast. I got pulled over by a cop who drove by me, and a computer in his car told him that my license plate was expired. We were both kind of surprised. And you know, he wasn't a bad guy or anything like that, and he wasn't a huge dick about it, but I do think that didn't need to happen. You know, they can bill me, they can fucking send me fines in the mail, they can fucking do whatever, but like you shouldn't be able to pull someone out of their car in a snowstorm, tow their car, and tell them good luck, like just because they forgot to renew a fucking registration. You know, I feel like it's kind of overkill. And that's sort of the way things have become, I guess. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that. Oh, well, I don't know if I told this story on the podcast. I don't think so, because it happened kind of recently, within the past 2 weeks. So I'm driving from Southie to Milton one night, and like, it's pretty late at night. It's like midnight-ish, 1 in the morning-ish. And I'm driving down, you know, for people who aren't in Southie, forget it. I'm driving down like a beachside road that people drive, you know, 35, 40 miles per hour on. The speed limit's like 30, but most people go 30, 35. And the thing with South Boston is there are double lines on the streets, but a lot of times people double park or just like fucking, you know, park and put their hazards on and let people out of their car forever. It just takes like a super long time if you just waited there, so people go around them, you know. It's no big deal ever. So I'm coming down the road, and I make a right onto this beach, you know, side street. There's no cars around, but there's this one guy in a Mercedes SUV, and he's driving about 15 miles per hour in front of me. And at first I give him a couple seconds, because I'm like, oh, maybe he's looking for a parking spot, or maybe he's just looking for something around here. And then I kind of do the thing people do, which is like I pull up a little close to him. Just maybe he didn't know I was there. Because at this point I'm like, oh, this guy's just shit-faced. He's driving 15 and a 30, like at like 1 in the morning on a weekend. Like, he's probably just kind of out of it right now. I was like, I just kind of want to get away from this guy. I also want to get home myself. So and it's a 2-lane road, but he's going straight down the middle of 2 lanes. So I come up on his bumper a little bit, and then I back off, and then I do kind of left and right swerve motion a little bit, like, you know, behind him, seeing if he notices he's in 2 lanes. So maybe I could get one of them, and nothing happens. And I'm just like, man, I'm tired. I just want to get this over with. So eventually, after like a couple minutes, I don't even know how fucking long, I go around the guy. I take a good look left. I take a good look in front of me. There's no one coming, no one around. I go around this guy, right? And then I'm on my way. I almost forgot about it in an instant. Like in reality, I got a lot of details in this story, but really it was like, oh, what's up with this guy? He's driving slow. Maybe, does he see me? Does he see me? Nah, this guy doesn't fucking see me. I'm just going to go around him. Right? So go around. And then I hit a stoplight. Like after, I don't know, I go around him, I drive like another 200 or 300 yards, and I hit a stoplight. And then as I'm at the stoplight, I look up in my rear view, and this Mercedes is now like speeding towards the light. Towards the, to pull up right next to me at the light. And I'm like, fucking shit. Here we go. Some drunk is pissed off at me now. He was only driving 15. He had all the time in the world back there, but now he's going to come up and yell at me for passing him, right? So I look to my right to see who this person is who's going to yell at me. Because when I passed him, I didn't do the fuck you. I didn't even look at them, I didn't give him the finger. I didn't rev my engine. I didn't look. I just wanted to get on my way, So I get to the fucking stoplight, and I look over, and it's a cop in his regular car, but he's got the Boston police uniform on, right? And he's giving me a look like, oh, you've stepped in it now, boy. Like, hope you got a good reason for passing me back there. And he's a young guy. I would say he's younger than me. So I roll my window down. Of course, my first thought is, Jesus fucking Christ. Can I do anything without the cops fucking hassling me lately? If you are not a long-time listener to the podcast, I got pulled over like 3 times in February and April for like the dumbest shit. And, not speeding. Just stupid shit. Stickers on my car. I'm not good at paying bills on time, man. I'll admit it. But don't pull me over. Fucking fight some crime, And I was just kind of like, man, I'm getting real sick of cops. I did have that thought. This busybody fucking hall monitor shit. So I'm like, hey, man, to be honest, I want to be like, I was like, yes, what did I do? I want to say like I treated this dude like an equal, but no way. I was kissing ass. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. Like, I just thought I saw the Mercedes and I thought you were looking for parking. And I almost wanted to say like, it's Southie, like people go around each other here, but I just kind of was letting him take the road, take the lead. But he just was kind of staring at me. He was like, you could have hit someone head on. And I'm like, yeah, I could have, but I looked and I didn't see anyone. And I still don't, so I don't know. But I was just doing the whole like, I'm sorry, it's 100% my fault. I'm just... And then he's like, do you live around here? I'm like, yes, I do. But in my head, I'm like, dude, you're not even in a police car right now. How the fuck am I supposed to know you're a cop? I didn't disrespect you. You're just a person driving 15 and a 30, not speeding up or moving when someone's behind you, so I went around you. That's what I wanted to fucking say to this motherfucker, but instead, I gotta, because he's like in the fucking SS and he could ruin my life with the snap of his fingers, I gotta be like, I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened, I just thought you were like a regular person, so I went around you, and, I just like, I gotta get home, I'm tired, and which is degrading. And doesn't feel good, to do that sort of shit. So he let me go. The light we were at turned green. He was like, okay. But when he said, do you live around here? I was like, yeah, I do. But, like, do you? Does it fucking matter? Like, the fact that you're not working right now and you're bugging me is fucked up. But, of course, you gotta smile. You gotta be white and polite. You gotta do everything you fucking can to get away from these people. So you can go podcast about it later. And then I told my dad about it later. He's a retired Boston cop, and his take on it was that guy was probably shit-faced. The cop was probably shit-faced. He probably was looking for a parking spot, shit-faced, and then he saw me go around him, and he got a little bit pissed. He got a little bit of a hair up his ass and wanted to tell me what for, so he did, and put a little bit of his fear little bit of the fear of God into me, because he definitely had his badge and shit showing when it was obviously showing when he came over alongside me in his car. So it was like, a lot of people were gonna be like, oh, he's a nice guy, he let you go. It's like, no, a nice guy wouldn't have fucking bothered me in the first place, especially when he's not on the clock, and especially when no harm, no foul, and especially when, I'm not really driving recklessly other than that one little move that took 3 seconds. So yeah, that's where I've been. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry I didn't put out a podcast for a couple of weeks, but I'm fucking sick of the fucking cops. It's a tough fucking thing for me to admit. I grew up son of a cop. My dad's a great guy. A lot of his friends were great guys. I'd go to all these functions with police when I was a kid. I met a lot of great ones. And cops can be great people, but I must say, right now in 2017, I fucking am sick of fucking cops. I'm driving right now to a gig. They constantly pulling people over, constantly giving people tickets. It's like, do you not make enough money off the fucking taxes and every other goddamn thing? Really sound like old man Noonan here, but I'm like, what the fuck? Leave people alone. Our lives are tough enough. If we're not really fucking committing a crime, we don't want to talk to you, believe it or not, officer. And it's like, when they make you feel like they're doing you a huge favor for not locking you up, it's a mind game, man. Really, they're doing, I don't know, there's this whole thing with cops, like, that drives me kind of crazy, that if someone gets killed in the line of duty, if some cop gets killed in the line of duty, which is the worst, everyone else in the public gets punished for the next, like, a new rule is always entered, because sometime around 9/11 and that kind of shit was the whole, like, all right, when you approach a car to pull someone over, have your hand on the gun, because too many people fucking just come right out shooting. Now, do you think some cops probably go their whole career without ever pulling their gun out, or having a gun pulled on them, but they're treating every single scenario like it could go horribly wrong, which I know is their training, and I think, it's a good, it's a good sliver of your mind to have dedicated to one thing, but we don't all get up with, like, making that deal. Like, regular people who aren't criminals or aren't cops don't wake up making that deal. And believe it or not, we're the vast majority of society. Not cops, not robbers, regular people. But when a robber kills a cop, now we all got to be treated like robbers because on the off chance that we are a robber. It's not fair. I heard there's a cop on Twitch who does Twitch streaming. And I was watching his stream yesterday, and I like the guy. But he said something that all cops say, and I, even when I don't think I've ever heard my dad say it, but I've heard it said in cop movies, and I've heard real cops say it. And they go, whatever I got to do to go home to my family at the end of the day. I'm not dying on my job, so I pull my gun when I got to pull my gun. Whatever I got to do to make sure I get home alive at the end of the day, back to my family, which is very beautiful. It's a very beautiful sentiment. Of course, that's what we all want. We all want the cops to go home to their families every day. But the fucked up part about that saying is we don't all wake up making that deal. We don't all get up thinking, hey, I could live today, I could die today. Also, we're not getting paid for that like cops are. Cops have a very dangerous fucking job that they are paid very well for. And I wouldn't, I think they should be paid more. But they are the ones that signed up for possibly getting killed. Not me. So, yeah, I'd rather a cop come up to my window and say, hey, like it was in the old days, officer friendly, neighborhood beat cop, who actually might have been helpful from time to time. When was the last time a cop was really helpful to you? A lot of times, even when they're being helpful, they're fucking dickheads. And I just think it's a new generation of cop. I think my dad's generation, a lot of them weren't in the military. A lot of them were just neighborhood people and kind of regular people getting a job. But it got harder and harder and harder for people to actually even get a job as a cop. That people would join the military just to do it, or, you know, whatever they had to do to get into the police department and the fire department. And a lot of these military guys are there, and you can definitely feel sometimes when you're getting pulled over by one of these guys, you're like, hey, I just want to remind you, I am not a Taliban soldier. Just want to remind you, I'm not living in a hut, and you're not back in Afghanistan. You're here, and please don't shoot me for no reason. It's way too aggressive. They come out way too fucking hot. It causes more problems than it solves. You're supposed to be dealing with, like, a calm, cool, and collected guy who's gonna, like, get everyone out of this scenario and keep the peace as much as possible. But what you really get most of the time is like a fucking edgy dude with a hair trigger who's been trained to think, I'm going home tonight no matter what. I'm going home to my family tonight no matter what. And possibly post-traumatic stress from Iraq. And they're basically trained to think every single person is guilty until proven otherwise. Or at least a threat until proven otherwise, which isn't the fucking case, you know? And I've always been a fan of law enforcement. I always like helping them raise money or whatever it is I got to do, like, with the cops. I've always liked them, but on a personal level, you know, I get the nice treatment when I'm doing their shows and when I'm fucking, like, whatever. But when I look at these experiences I've had in the past year or so with police, it fucking blows, man. And even in New York, when I was living in New York, I knew some fucking great cops, you know? And you don't really hear those kind of stories anymore. And it's a shame, man. It's a job I used to really look up to. It was a job I used to consider. Like, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe if I ever, like, if this comedy shit doesn't work out, I would like to do that. You know, help people. Put bad guys in jail, but I don't want people to see me walking down the street and fucking want to get the fuck away from me and be in fear, you know, basically. So I guess that's that. I don't know, man. I hope it changes, but I don't think it's ever going to change. I think things are just getting worse and worse when it comes to cops. Like, more technology, more military type shit, more just like every time something bad happens, every time there's a terrorist attack or a bombing or a fucking school shooting, it fucks us all because they just step up their vigilance that much more nationwide, even though the likelihood of that shit happening is like lightning striking. It'd be like the cops being like, hey, one cop in fucking Wyoming got struck by lightning, so now we all have to drive rubber cars. Sorry, that's how it is. You know, and to be even more honest, they don't really fucking take things away. They take our freedoms away, like, you know, our fucking... Yeah, it's just easier to tow your car than it is for me to fucking deal with this, so bye, you know. Or I could get in trouble if you know, crash later and it's in the computer that I pulled you over and let you go, so let's go. Let's fuck up your fucking bank account and life. And I won't think about it 10 minutes later because I'm on to the next fucking thing. That's the other thing, you know. You arrest somebody for smoking weed or something, you put the cuffs on them, you drive them to the station, and then you pass them off to the fucking system, and you don't have to see the consequences of what you did to this person. I think that's a little shitty, too. You should have to go, like... You should have to get updates on the people you arrest and be like, man, you know, maybe I shouldn't be so fucking freewheeling with these handcuffs because I'm ruining a lot of lives, some of which might not have needed to be ruined. Something to think about. All right, I'll move on. This is too fucking much of a bummer. How about Kathy Griffin, huh? That ugly fucking redheaded slut. How about her, huh? Man, she really stepped in the old pile of dog shit this week, man. She looked so scared in that video she put out. If you don't know the story, Kathy Griffin, comedian, quote comedian, more of a storyteller. I actually think she's funny. I used to date a chick who loved Kathy Griffin, and at first I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But she was watching her specials all the time, and I was like, you know what? She ain't bad. She's kind of funny. If you're in the mood for it, it's definitely worse stuff out there. And yeah, so that was my feeling on her always. I was kind of like, yeah, good for her, whatever. Any comedian that's famous is good for all comedians. If they make money, we all make money. It's just like cops and terrorism. But she posed for some photos where she is holding a severed head of Donald Trump. I mean, it's clearly fake. It's like made out of paper mache, and it's, it looks really fake and stupid, but yeah, she got a lot of shit for it, and deserved in a sense. It was not funny, definitely not funny. It looked more like artistic than funny, and yeah, you got to be careful when you're making jokes about the president or killing the president, because it's kind of like dancing in that movie Footloose. They don't want it to catch on. You want to nip that stuff in the bud, because if everyone starts dancing before you know it, even more people will be dancing, and people will be taking shots at politicians, which is not cool. We cannot be having that. That was for the 60s and the CIA. It ain't for us. But real fucking tinfoil hat kind of podcast this week. But yeah, I felt bad for her as a comic. Comic to comic, I felt bad for her. I was like, man, she probably just thought this was going to be a killer, thing for her. She probably thought it was going to, go over really well with the anti-Trump people. Or at the very least, just something cool she could kind of look back on in, 10 years and be like, you know what? I was kind of a Jane Fonda. I kind of took a stand back there and kind of, put my foot down and said I don't like this guy in, a very strong way, right? But none of that happened. In fact, everyone on all sides was kind of appalled by it. Everyone on all sides was like, what the fuck are you doing? And also, not famous enough to pull that move. I don't think anyone was, but she's definitely not. So comic to comic, I kind of felt bad for her. But if I look at it as just a regular guy looking at a famous person, I'm like, fuck you. You deserve to get shit on. She was panicking when it was over because she's got deals with QVC and all these big fuckers, and she's gonna lose a lot of money probably from this stupid thing that didn't pay to do. And whenever you get super political, even just getting a little political, you lose a lot of people, in a snap of a finger. I've done it. I've lost people on Twitter just by making one joke or saying one thing to Trump. I've done it. And, you just got to take the beating and be like, all right, I said it. You guys didn't like it like I thought you would, and I'll take it. That's on, the minor level, but she's on the major level, so it's tougher to take, I'm sure. But it was just kind of stupid and not smart. I got an opportunity to go on the news here in Boston and talk about it, and I just felt like there was no winning that situation. I felt like it was just a lose-lose for me to even get involved with what she's doing. So I didn't do it. I almost never say no to things with cameras involved, but I was like, nope, I just don't think it's the right move. I already pissed off a lot of people making fun of Barron Trump, and all I said was, because the story was, a lot of people said Barron Trump saw the picture of the severed head and freaked the fuck out and thought it was really his dad, which I actually don't really believe. I had to search the picture out and find it on the internet, and it was not even that easy to do. It wasn't even that easy for me to figure out what was wrong. What is Kathy Griffin going through? It was pretty hard to figure that out, actually. I was like, I saw her name trending, and I saw people being like, Kathy Griffin, I do not agree with what you're doing. And I was like, what the fuck did she do? So in my mind, I was expecting something super bad, and then I open it up, and it's this photo of her holding a clearly fake guy's head, and I was like, ooh. And I think the look in her face probably made it all even worse. She had this really intense Katniss Everdeen fucking scowl on, and I was like, oh, that's no good. At least smile. You're a comic, smile. But yeah, man, she got people pissed off. I think the worst thing she did is that people on both sides felt bad for Donald Trump when people were like, oh, his son saw it and his son was traumatized. That's I don't 100% believe it, but if it is true, that's pretty rough, man, to think your dad is dead and someone's holding his head. And that made everyone feel sympathy for Donald Trump and his family, which I don't think a lot of people have had at all lately. So that was kind of like the opposite of what Kathy Griffin probably wanted to do. Make the guy she hates look a little cool, or a little, make people sympathetic towards him. And I've been like loosening my reins every week on how much I'm not a fan of Trump. But the thing is, I'm just not a fan of this whole shit. The whole way the country is right now sucks. No one's getting any work done. Nothing progressive is happening. We're just like caught up in the same squabbles of the election, and they just keep going into the presidency. And every single day, it's just nonsense. Either Trump does something real and everyone freaks out, or he does something fake and everyone freaks out, and then we all gotta fucking wonder. People are saying he's gonna get impeached. Other people are saying that's impossible. And everyone seems to be getting rich off of it, like, as far as the news media and the politicians themselves. But the regular assholes like me who are just fucking having to bear the fucking news and stuff like that, I think it's stupid. I go in and out, as you know, I've said on this podcast, I am a villager on Game of Thrones. The politicians, Trump, his family, they're the Lannisters, they're the main characters. I'm just a villager you see in the background trying to sell oranges and bananas and shit to the other villagers. So, and the Lannisters don't give a fuck about the villagers, and the villagers don't give a fuck about the Lannisters, or they shouldn't. And I just don't give a fuck. He doesn't care about me. I don't care about him. I just want I want my life to be normal and with as little interruption from cops and government as possible. And that's pretty much my political view. And all this fucking nonsense pisses me off. And then this whole Covfefe thing was kind of fun for a night. But then I start thinking about it. Trump puts out this tweet where it says Covfefe at the end. No one knows what that is. Everyone's Googling it and looking it up, thinking it's like a code word. And it stayed up on his Twitter feed for like a couple hours. So people were like, man, this guy obviously is doing his own tweeting if he's like tweeting out typos and then leaving them up, and no one else obviously has the login that they can log in real quick and delete it. So it was a little revealing in that sense of like people being like, oh my God, it really is Trump. It's gotta be, right? But then the next day, Trump kind of fucking owns it a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I said Covfefe, like, why don't you guys have fun with that? And that's when I started to think like, this is all just a fucking major distraction from whatever the fuck we're supposed to be distracted from, So I don't even know if it was a fucking accident, dude. Covfefe might just mean fuck these dumb ass villagers. Covfefe. Yeah, but man, did people fucking really latch onto that and run with it? Myself included. I made a couple jokes. I won't lie to y'all. I made a couple jokes, but on Twitter, especially like in the moments right after he tweeted it. But I'm over it. I'm over it now, and I'm definitely over following politics for the next couple weeks. Unless something crazy happens, I always say that, and then I dive right back in. But I have Reddit, I've talked about before, but I have Reddit all set up so I don't have to see things I don't want to see. You can make certain words, like, I guess, what would you call it? A content filter? You can make certain words, if they appear in the title of the link, you just won't see it. So my list just gets bigger and bigger and bigger every day. It's like Trump, Clinton, from the Covfefe, Comey, Sessions. Today I added America, United States, and U.S. because, every fucking other link on there is like, America's come out of the deal, the Paris climate deal, we're all gonna fucking die, oh my God. It's just too much fucking, everyone's trying to sort of use it. I'm even talking about it right now on my podcast. Other people just want their little joke comments to get upvoted. Other people want to be on the news or blogging. It's like, it's good for the news business when the world is like chaotic and shitty, but it ain't good for me. So I'm fucking taking myself out of it, motherfucker. That's why I'm on Twitch. No politics on Twitch. Just a fucking fun website. I really like it. I've gotten into so many different aspects of it. Sometimes I like to watch people play video games, which is really hard to explain to someone how that's fun, but it is. It is in a weird way, especially when you smoke pot like I do. Another thing I like to do on there is watch the IRL streams. Ice Poseidon was on there. Now he's off. He's on fucking YouTube only. Soda Poppin' is on there. He's one of my favorites. And he plays all different games and also just talks shit with the people. And just like anything else, man, they're just personalities. And I'm like, man, hypothetically, you should be on here, dude. A lot of my people already are on Twitch. I've linked up with a couple guys on there. I linked up with some guys on Twitch, you know. Joe West and some other friends and friendly faces. But I really enjoy it as a platform. I think it's going to be big. I mean, it's already fucking huge. Amazon bought it and stuff. But I think, the future, I really do believe the future of entertainment is going to be entertainer, creator, content maker, whatever you want to call us, directly to you guys. And just like this podcast is, and just like a lot of YouTube channels and YouTube shows are, I don't see people going back in the other direction and going to television networks as much for their entertainment or even the movies. I don't know what's going to happen. I think movies will always be a thing because it costs a lot of money to make a movie, a good one. And can't just be making those on YouTube and having them. I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point, but I do think the vlogging and things like this podcast in video form and even guys playing fucking video games, if they got a good enough personality, I think all that kind of stuff is the future. I think, Ice Poseidon basically takes his stream with him when he leaves the house everywhere he goes. I think that's going to be a very popular aspect of all this stuff. I wish I could buy stock in, of course I could buy Amazon stock, but I wish I could buy stock in just the idea of live streaming because I think it is 100% where things are headed. But who can really know, right? Who can really know these things? That was the other thing. I did my Giselle impression on the Chaz and AJ show, which I don't really ever do. I just do it when I'm on the Danny Picard show. I don't know how they heard about it, but they just threw it at me on the air. They were like, Will, you have a Giselle impression, right? Let's go. And I was like, oh, crap. Nothing prepared. So I feel like didn't do such a great job at that either. Oh, Tom Brady is my husband. We love each other. Sometimes we talk, but mostly just about colors, which are our favorite. I like blue. He also likes blue. There's something we have in common. Yeah. You can see why it didn't go over. Oh, yeah. To wrap things up, one thing I want to talk about here before I'm almost to my gig. I'm only 5 minutes away, according to the GPS. But one thing I want to talk about was Chris Cornell. I was sad about this one. I'm not going to come on here and act like I still listen to Chris Cornell all the time, but there was a time in my life where I listened to a shitload of Chris Cornell. So much, Soundgarden and his solo stuff, but I also went to see him at the Orpheum Theater in Boston when I was a younger guy, and it was his solo show, and it was one of the coolest shows I'd ever been to then and now. It was a really bare bones kind of thing anyway. It was just him and like a bass player and a drummer, but the drummer broke something somewhere during the show, which I think this might have been like one of those things like that happens every night. They make it seem like it's only happening here in Boston, but I don't know. But anyway, they had to fix something on the drums, so Chris Cornell just kind of like played solo, like truly solo, with just him and a guitar on stage, and it was like a super fucking cool experience. And I think I have said it on the podcast before. I think I have said it, and probably years ago, but I said, I think this guy's got one of the best voices in rock and in fucking music. A lot of people were like, which do you like more, Pearl Jam or Nirvana? And I was like, Soundgarden. Fucking Chris Cornell rules. And it just fucking bums me out, man. When I saw him live, he was on heroin, and I think he went to rehab like right after the show that I was at. And to see him, I know he had his struggles and kind of come and gone with drugs and alcohol and stuff, and I just think suicide is always super fucking stupid, and it gets dumber the older you get. I mean, it's always dumb, but I hate it when I hear, like, yeah, he's 52, he killed himself. I'm like, oh, god damn, dude. What are you, fucking nuts? Of course you are if you kill yourself. You are nuts, but I don't know. I feel like it's become a little bit too cavalier of a topic and a joke or something. People say it a lot. Oh, kill yourself, or oh man, if this happens, I'll fucking kill myself, or I'll put a gun in my mouth. You know, those kind of jokes have gotten like really. They just flow right out of people, and every time I'm like, "Jeez, buddy, I don't know. When you talking about suicide, it's pretty sad." I've never been suicidal, truly. I don't think. I mean, I've had some low moments, and I've been real down, but fear of death always trumps the downness and shit. But I've had friends, close friends, who were on the brink of suicide, and I've talked them out of it, and talked them, tried to cheer them up and make them see the other way. And a lot of times you can. And if people get suicidal, they should talk to their friends, because that's pretty much all you need most of the time. It's just someone to talk to. And you can even talk to me. I've talked to a lot of my listeners about stuff like this. You can email me at willnoonancomedy@gmail.com directly to me. You can go to my website, willnoonan.com/contact, and email me anonymously, although I won't be able to reply. So, but yeah. It's never do it. It's always a mistake. Nothing's ever that bad. You can always fix things. I mean, even if you had like a brain tumor and your doctor was like, you have 3 weeks to live every one of those fucking days of that 3 weeks and have a good fucking time. There's no point in ending things yourself. And it makes me sad when rock stars do it, even if they are older, because it's like, it just makes a really uncool thing seem a little bit cool. And while the people celebrate the life of Chris Cornell and kind of go, oh man, he's great and he was awesome and it's sad he killed himself, but that's a rock and roll way to go or whatever. It's like, yeah, but I bet for him it didn't feel very rock and roll. It's probably a really sad, lonely moment in that guy's life, and he's got children and a wife, and I'm sure they don't think it's very cool and rock and roll. And this is a fucking downer of a conversation in a shitty way to sort of wrap up a podcast, but it's been something that I sort of just been noticing a lot more in my social media and in the world, and it's a tough time right now, and the world does not seem like it's so great, and a lot of people might want to check out, but I just think that's the worst, man. Don't even fucking ponder that for a moment, because things always change. Things are cyclical. Life works on a cycle. You're born, you die, you're reborn. You get an orange, you don't eat it, it rots. Seeds become a new orange. What are you talking about, Will? What are you talking about? But I just don't know. It always pisses me off. I've had friends commit suicide. I've only had one close friend to actually get all the way through it and kill himself. And it's always made me really fucking sad to think about, and it's just something I hate to do. Enough people are dying in this world. Enough people are sick. Enough people are fucking getting bad luck and getting in car accidents and stuff. It's just selfish and fucking wrong to take care of that business on your own. And it's also, you gotta think of your friends and family and shit like that, man. You want to leave them with that fucking mess to clean up? Fuck that. Oh, I'm just driving by a license plate right now. FML. Fuck my life. That's that guy's license plate. See, I'm not into this depression shit, man. I ain't into it one fucking bit. All right, taking the left onto Chapel Street here when I get the chance to go do this gig. But, yeah, I guess that's enough talk about... It's enough of me telling you guys not to commit suicide. I don't think you need to. I'd advise against it. Don't do it. And if I had known Chris Cornell, I would have told that to him too, because it's just not a good idea. But now I am here. I am on Granite Ave. And let me tell you, if this gig sucks, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Just kidding, motherfuckers. Just kidding. Alright, guys. I gotta go. I gotta go make it a donuts. But remember, do not kill yourself. It's stupid. And check me out on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Will Noonan, or just go to Will Noonan and type in, or just go to Twitch and type in Will Noonan and you'll find me. And I appreciate that, guys, and I appreciate all of you for listening and hanging out with me every week. And I'm sorry I took a little time off, but it's going to happen from time to time. Oh, shit. Also, you can donate to this podcast on at willnoonan.com. Click podcast, click the donate button. Getting some donations. Thank you very much. I've been shouting people out on Twitter for under $10 donations, but I want to say special thanks to Elise S. in the North Shore of Massachusetts. She donated $50 to the cause this week, supporting live comedy, supporting this podcast, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you, Elise, in the North Shore. And for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for listening. And remember, if no one told you they love you today, I do. Peace. Motherfucking out. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test. Something fucking open? Why is this? I'm not gonna hear the car so much this time. Test. Test. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Ba-dum. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Good morning. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. WNBC. Test. Good morning.